will that make a difference in the final look of the paint car? If the pressure
I'm sorry, repeat that.
house fringe, so like the spray, like the pressure.
Oh,
yeah, I missed that word. So, is there like a set pressure that you're supposed to spray at, or if that pressure varies, will the final result look different?
for older paint or newer paint?
I don't know.
Well, okay, let me answer that for you. Yes to both, depending on what gun you're using. Yeah, so a standard paint job, I'll spray color at about 30, 35 pounds of pressure with an HVLP gun. And in fact, I've got to step up from an HVLP gun, which is high volume, low pressure. I have what they call an RP, which is reduced pressure. So it sprays like the old guns as far as volume, but with the technology of the new guns. It's kind of, the technologies have kind of finally come back together a little bit. If you buy a paint gun, a little lesson on paint guns, if you buy a paint gun, what you're spending your money on is the air cap and how it atomises. Only thing different, really, for most of the paint guns on the market right now. And once again, just like paint companies, that's their trademark that keeps them from being one big company and a monopoly, or however you want to look at it. So, with that said, you know, you could go to a Harbor Freight or something and buy a decent gun and paint a car and do a really good paint job. I've done it. Or you can buy what I have, a big, fancy German Sada that's, all engineered in the air cap, and, you give your left kidney for it. And it does, just as good a job depending on, what you're spraying and things like that.
Like if you just spray 2 panels, could someone say, oh, this was done with the off-the-shelf and the other one was done with
Oh, possibly, yeah. Yeah, if you have somebody that knows what they're doing, yeah.
Because of the way it's the atomization.
Okay. Yeah, certain atomization will make things look more orange peeled no matter how well you spray it. Certain paints do that as well. Some heavier body clears are more, they're just, you spray them on the panel and there's just more cutting and buffing to them than other ones. It doesn't make them any, better or worse, it's just how to formulate.
Okay, so my other question is, and you had said earlier, paint is in prep.
Yes, 100%. Which is why your car's going to get stripped down to bare bones if it's getting a good job. So.
Yes. Bare metal stable.
Yeah.
But my question is, because there's also levels of paint jobs, right?
Sure.
You can go up to like Pebble Beach,
Yeah. You can eat off of it, or yeah.
So, and because I'm a newbie compared to a lot of you guys here, but can you give us a quick overview, like what's the difference between, the other way around, the penultimate paint job to an excellent paint?
Yeah.
How much more bang for your buck are you getting when you go from an X dollar to a?
What
do they do that's different?
Yeah, well, and this is where it's tricky, because this is where it varies, paint shop to paint shop, and how experienced their team is, how on the same page your team is, how well their prep is. I've seen Pebble Beach cars that I've wanted to laugh off the field that were brand new paint jobs, and they probably spent gave another kidney to pay for it.
Yeah.
And I've seen them come back several years later and the paint's trying to fall off too. So the biggest thing, like I said, it's the prep. The longer time they take to prep it versus put it in color and clear and get it sanded and things, I'm going to say the better quality for your money you're going to get. So if you're willing to pay for that prep, if they are doing a good job with that, and you can bear through that part of the process, with the length of time it's going to take, that's where your quality is going to end for example, I painted an Auburn boat tail speedster, which I can show you guys later at lunch. I did it down in a garage for an ACD guy, and I took weeks and months to prep that car. And I don't mean, you know, wet sand and all that, but, you know, masking it properly, making sure everything was mocked up properly, you know, no paint doof, you know, all of that. And he's a showstopper right now. I mean, he took it to Auburn and turned heads. And I sprayed it with a run-of-the-mill gun in a, you know, in a garage with good ventilation and, you know, system and everything. And it, you know, it's you know, just as good as that one down there, you know. And that's not necessarily me bragging on my experience. But it comes down to prep. And I was trained as a prepper first. So if you know, that's where your quality's going to come from. Not, and cost-wise, yes, there's better paints over others as far as brands and qualities, and shop lines and all that. And you get into more money, the more you move up with those. Because a lot of what you're really going to drop in cost with a paint job is materials. That's really, you know, you're paying for their labor. Their labor is expensive. It's very, very labor intensive. But I can tell you right now, from being on the other side of the fence, what you're really paying for is the materials. And depending on how much you want to pay for those materials, plus that labor and time, is the difference in that price range, probably.
Do you self-etch primer?
Yes, I try to self-etch on bare metal as much as I can. It's just with today's modern paints and the older metals and everything, it's just the adhesion is that much better.
Do you ever use epoxy primer?
Yes. When I was doing full frame off restoration, that's actually what we did for frames.
Like I said, I do a lot of work with restoration, whatever, and I know they've had some issues with the epoxy primers. Now, I don't know if it's the brand or what.
I think it had to do with the resins, and I don't know the full specifics on it, but my paint rep was kind of saying that some of the resins and some of the brands or companies that were creating, creating them were failing.
They did a 32 Ford.
Yeah.
And black.
Mm-hmm.
Within 2 months, everything bubbled apart.
Yeah.
And it was because of the epoxy primer.
Yeah. My epoxy's really tough. It's also really hard to work with though as far as body panels, as far as I'm concerned, from a painter's standpoint. If you don't have, especially if you don't have a good quality one, or you're taking the risk of
well, this is my experience from one of the shops that I do work for. They had a lot of issues with the epoxy.
Yeah. So I mean, as far as you know, some people used to seal the whole car with epoxy before they did color. Before sealers were really any good.
Yeah.
And a lot of the failures I've seen is coming from that nowadays. In my just my experience, but yes, I've used epoxies, and epoxies are very good for doing your frames, doing your parts, because it's tough, it's heat resistant, it holds up well to abuse for the most part. So don't be afraid to spray a frame with epoxy, spray your parts with epoxy, But as far as doing your big long panels and stuff, it's going to get really, really hard, and because it is a really tough paint. And big panels like this, they like to flex, they move naturally, with heat and cold. And that's why I say go urethane these days, because those plasticizers, it helps it flex. It helps it adapt to those conditions. And they just didn't have that technology back in the day. So that's why a lot of stuff dries out and cracks now on the older paints. There wasn't that flexibility. And if you don't keep it moisturized, so to speak, you lose all of that chemically. Yes, yes, it's like lotion for your car. Yes, you can use synthetic waxes, but like I said, and there are some really good ones. I've used them; they've held out just fine. But whatever it is about the chemical makeup of these old things, I really just like the good old-fashioned Bermuda. And I've used everything from the wires to I have a Pinnacle that I like a lot. Yeah, and you can pass that around if you want.
Okay.
And you can open this. It's got a special seal in there. I usually like it. So also in the aspect of waxes, they also, if you get really crazy, and there are waxes now that are colored, and a lot of them are synthetic. But there is a black wax that comes out of the middle of Austria, like this, that is called Montan wax. And it's refined out of brown coal. Not black coal, brown. A special brown coal. And one of these little guys will run you about $6,200. But, if you have a black car, since I did a whole black collection, that's the reason for this, it'll increase that if you're on the show field and want that pizzazz, it'll increase that depth tenfold. They're making them, I think it's Zymol. Zymol's making them in reds and blues and whites now. And, so if you do have a color match problem, but you want a little more pizzazz, sometimes those things out in the sun, are a little bit of a trump toy, so to speak.
I'm wondering when you said that the older paints are not as flexible, the lack of flexibility. I was reading my CUD handbook the other day, and as far as they say to wax every 3 months or I'm not sure the month, but there's a definite procedure for maintenance. And
Yes.
now it sort of clicked in when you said the paints weren't as flexible,
Mhm.
that the maintenance, because I'm going how often?
Which is why this new technology with the ceramic coating, which I hadn't got into it heavy until now because I was seeing where it would go. It's been around for a little while, but in the last 2 years it's become user friendly. But that will help save some of that maintenance for people who don't have time. And the museum collections really like me for that reason. So yeah.
Use that instead of wax,
Along with,
which goes.
so wax first, ceramic overall. So think, I'm gonna wax it, I'm gonna rinse it.
The Swiss wax people advertise some very, very expensive wax, like $1,000.
Oh, yeah.
Is it really worth what you're paying?
No, you can get just as good a quality ones on a lower price. That Pinnacle wax there, I don't remember how much around, maybe 30 or
It's
something.
about $60 for one like that I've seen.
Yeah. But I've used some even cheaper than that one over there, and as long as it's a good carnauba paste wax, you're fine. And I say that because in helping out a billionaire, I had the freedom to buy everything on the market and buy it. So I've tried about everything on the market, and I chemically pretty much know what's junk, and so yes, there are waxes, from the Swiss and the Germans and the Austrians that are very refined. They are very, very good, but don't necessarily go.
Not worth the money.
Now, these colored waxes go through carnauba base as well.
Yeah, usually.
The Swiss wax
And
people.
even if they're not, they're still a very lighter bodied wax. So it could be easily reversible. It's not going to be persistent, I guess is what I'm saying.
The Swiss wax people advertise like they have a wax product that's really good on the Lamborghini, and they sort of suggest you ought to use it in that car rather than some other line that they have. Isn't that big?
Not necessarily, most of them are big. And I say that because the guy that gave me the optimum polymer ceramic coating, he does most of the super parts down there in Beverly Hills. And, he won't spend much more than $100 on a thing of wax, whether it's Swiss, whether, container wise, And even if he does drop a lot of money, he's got the box and but, he just makes sure it's a good quality, he can work with it well, So, if it's labeled a yellow carnauba wax and it turns your fingers yellow, it's got a lot of dye in it. It's probably not got much carnauba in it. So that's something to keep in mind as far as the, cheaper, if you do go cheaper but you're still trying to get something quality, sometimes you run into things like that. I haven't had it happen too many times. Most of McGuire's stuff is really good. Most of the Griots is very good. Chemical guys, I've had good luck with them. So most of them are on the same page out there as far as carnauba wax goes. Polishes is a little different. But
Years ago, I remember with my father waxing a '66 Dodge Polara 9-passenger station wagon with blue coral wax.
yeah, blue coral, yeah. They're still making Colonite too. I don't know if you've heard of Colonite
Yeah.
wax.
That was a whole day affair.
It was, yeah. So Colonite wax is a carnauba wax with, I think, a little bit of lanolin and maybe a little bit of camphor. I want to say camphor in it. It almost it smells like chapstick or menthol. If you got a cold, wax with some Colonite, you'll feel pretty good. But there's products like that out there too that were used, to wax these cars as well. That they're still good. They're a little harder to work with. I think it takes a little more muscle, but
Lots of cheese spots.
yeah, exactly. So I usually wax by hand, but you can use the DA polisher to really work it in, which might save you from redoing it several times as well.